you tell I'm in denial?
You can't stay at the top forever.
I was also very surprised when I looked at my phone and saw Joe Girardi dismissed.
Well, I think mine were with common sense.
I think now belongs in the all-time greats top 10.
Boston, I really think only got to this point because of a guy named Chris Middleton being out for the Bucks.
That power play just was unbearable. It was humming.
Man, am I happy. I knew that this was going to happen. I knew he was going to come back.
When I think of New York Yankees now, it's Judge. Probably people in the past when Jeter was coming up.
I would be shocked. A little bit hurt.
Hey, this is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, TexasFootball.com, and Valley Sports Southwest. You are listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our MLB Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by the man whose team helped out my team. A quid pro quo, you could say. Austin.
Yeah. The Yankees hate the Astros no matter what, so I'm glad we could help the Rangers in any way. But it's more beating the Astros than it is helping the Rangers.
Well, yeah. So you could say 2 balls hit with 1 bat.
That's true.
So we won't be talking about that, but a little more on that later this week. But let's start with the waiver wire dump. I was pretty shocked with the Angels. And I know we're a little bit late on this, but we're kind of focusing on what does this mean for Ohtani and what does this mean for Trout. I think that could be something that's not getting talked about is what happens to Mike Trout at the end of this season.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge storyline. I don't think he goes anywhere. I think they can convince him to stay. But this is really if Ohtani is leaving, which I think both of us think that this means he is, Trout is not going to be happy with that. This is obviously the best teammate he's ever had and the best chance he's ever had to go on a long playoff run, you would think. But it obviously hasn't worked out all that great, and you have to wonder, does he ask out? And if he does ask out, what's the asking price and who offers and all these other things, because he still has a massive contract heading into the next good bit of years.
Yeah, and the waiver thing was just surprising to me that they basically admitted, yeah, we stink, we made mistakes, because they got rid of a lot of their top farm prospects to get these guys, and they just kind of put them on waivers just so they didn't have to pay them, which seems cheap. But yeah, I think definitely means Ohtani is gone. I think we could see Trout not publicly ask for a trade because that would limit his value. But if he kind of goes to management quietly and says, hey, let's work something out. I don't want to lower the asking price, but I'd like to go somewhere where I can go to the playoffs. Because it's insane how if Ohtani leaves, which I think is probably 85, 90% going to happen, and I'm probably giving a lot of grace already in that percentage for the Angels. Trout didn't even get to make it to the playoffs with the best player in the world next to him.
That's true. In a lot of years. I know Ohtani's been hurt for some of those, and this year he's obviously dealt with some injuries as of recent, but they weren't even in the playoff picture when he got hurt, and that's not really going to change now that he is hurt. Like you said, Trout has not won a playoff game in his entire career. He's played in 3 and got swept after winning the AL West back in 2013. But he did not win a game. Not one single game. So Ohtani has as many playoff wins as Trout, which is 0. And them together not winning any games. Not getting even really all that close to a playoff spot. It's not like they were 1 or 2 games out. They were 10, 12, 15 games out come playoff time. We'll have to see how far they fall now. It's remarkable how badly the Angels have really messed this up.
Yeah, that's to me is not even did they not qualify for the playoffs, they didn't come close, as you brought up, because that's just insane when you have 2 of the best players. And it is a tough division, but the wild card, even with the extended wild card, last year they couldn't do it. So if I'm the Angels, I wish I think it's Arte Moreno. I wish he sells the team because he backed out, but then he was like, "No, I'm not going to sell him. He should sell him because if you're not going to pay, that's just a shame." And the Angels is just so bad with the waiver wire dump, and I think Otani's gone. I think you could get a lot for Trout still if you ate some of the salary, and Trout didn't publicly ask for a trade. I think there'd still be good value.
Yeah, and could we see a world where Trout and Ohtani go to the same team somewhere else? Could we see a Mets trade their entire farm system for Trout and then sign Ohtani?
That would be insane. And that'd be quite a storyline. I don't see that really happening. When I think of Trout, I think of one team, and that's the Yankees.
Is that because he's from the Northeast?
Oh, I didn't even know he was from the Northeast.
Yeah, he went to high school in New Jersey.
Okay. I feel well. I know the Yankees sort of have a hole. Well, they don't because Jason Dominguez got called up, and that's probably your future.
Yeah, yeah. Dominguez has also started off his career extremely hot. He's a 243 batting average, which isn't all that great, but he has 2 homers and is playing good defense. It's really hard for me to say, hey, we definitely need to go after Trout. Definitely. When I see Dominguez, and I want him to have complete control of that position for the next 15 years.
Okay. Yes, maybe the Yankees don't make sense. Maybe I'm just. Oh, well, we could see something, but I doubt this team does it. The Marlins, I think, kind of have a need for center field, or they could need one in right field. Do you think we see Trout move to a corner outfield spot, or does he?
Not. I think he could, but I don't think yet. I don't think it will happen just yet.
Yeah, which that wouldn't make sense with the Yankees, but I'm thinking Marlins, because Jorge Soler, I think, I think he has an opt out, so I could see him opting out this year.
Yeah, because they do have Jazz in center for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
I think a very interesting team that I think I could see Trout go to is the Giants. The Giants have been trying to make plays the last couple years, and they're still competitive this season. They still have a good team, but if you added a Trout or even an Ohtani to that mix, it gets very dangerous very fast. And I find it funny because you said it'd be so crazy if the Mets got Trout and Ohtani. Like, it's such a great duo, but you have to. That's what makes me crazy. They're already on the same team. Like, this duo has already been with each other. Like, if you put Trout and Ohtani on almost any team, they should be a serious playoff contender at the very least. And
Absolutely.
The fact that they're already on a team like that, and that's not the case, whether it be because of bad managing, bad pitching, bad position players around those two, it just has not come to fruition.
Yeah, that's true. We could see the Mets do it. I think if that scenario did play out, I think the Giants could also be a team where Trout does go and so does Ohtani.
Yeah, I definitely could see that happening, especially because, like I said before, they tried to make a huge money play for Judge because Judge is from that area. And then you have the fact that they tried to pay Correa an ungodly amount of money. So they're not shying away from the amount of money. And especially if the Angels eat some salary for Trout, but the Giants give away a large amount of their youth, I could definitely see this move where both of them meet up again in California and have much, much, much more success.
Yeah. And what do you think went through Otani's mind when he saw the waiver wire dumps?
I honestly don't think he cared. Because I think he understood before that happened that this is not where I want to be. I think either way, if he, for some reason, decides to stay or he leaves, I don't think that changed his decision. I think that he already made up his mind once he realized the situation that the Angels were in 10 games out. And if he wants to stay there, he's already decided that. And if he wants to leave, he already decided that before it. I don't think them keeping those players keeps him in LA. They had done so miserably this last month that I don't think anything would have kept him in an Angels uniform.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of already on the fence. Unless they went to the playoffs, then he could have stayed. But yeah, I think he's mostly out, and it's just a terrible mark on the Angels franchise.
Yeah, this is not something that goes away. You could think back to a lot of teams in a lot of sports that had amazing players on a team and didn't win a ring. And that sticks with teams, even if they ended up winning a ring afterwards. If in 20 years the Angels win a ring, this is still going to be a blemish. Heck, it's even a blemish on the Patriots that they did not win a championship with Randy Moss. Randy Moss did not win a Super Bowl with the Patriots. And you saw all the touchdowns, how efficient Brady and him were. But we still look back, what if they won in 2007? Brady's won 7 Super Bowls. The Patriots have won 6, but we still look back to that 16-0 team. What if? What if? This is a what if about a team that's never won a ring with one of these players and doesn't look like they're in the right track to win one in the next decade.
Yeah, that's a great point. It will always be a blemish or just a huge stain, I would say, on the history books. And it's really, I think it's unprecedented that you have two of the best players in the sport on one team. Like, there are some great duos, like you mentioned, Randy Moss and Tom Brady.
But those teams at least make Super Bowls.
Yeah.
The difference is this team's not making the playoffs. Like, that's why it's historic. There's been Karl Malone and John Stockton. You have two potentially top 25 players on the same team, the assist leader, the steal leader, the third all time in points, multiple time MVP. They didn't win a ring, but they went to 2 finals. Like they were never bad. Like, these are teams that are struggling to get to the playoffs. Again, we see the fact that Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. You could have argued Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver. Aaron Rodgers was the best quarterback for about 2 years there in 2020 and 2021. Did they win a Super Bowl? No, but they went to the NFC Championship game both years. It's not like they're just completely floundering in the regular season with the best wide receiver and the best quarterback. No, they're getting to the NFC Championship game. They're competitive. They just can't get over the hump. We've seen teams that can't get over the hump. This team can't start. The engine isn't even starting. They're not reaching the finish line. They're not starting the race.
That's well said. Very well said. And yeah, I don't think I can add much more to that. I think that was a great thing to say because you're exactly right. They didn't even qualify for the marathon. That is October baseball.
Yeah, that was my point.
Yeah. So I think that pretty much covers it. Now, what happens to the Angels after this? We'll have to see. But any final thoughts, Austin? I'll give you the ball to close it out.
Thank you. I get to be the closer for this one. I get to save. But thank you guys for listening. I really am wondering what you guys think. Does Ohtani stay? I think the chances of that happening are very small. But what happens next? Please let us know. And thanks for listening.